Dad? The maid of honor sat at the altar, revealing she was the billionaire's lost daughter. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. I need to find him, Rachel. He doesn't even know I exist. Emma Parker gripped her phone tightly as she stared at the invitation on her computer screen. Are you sure this is a good idea? What if he doesn't want to know you? Rachel's voice crackled through the speaker. My mother kept me a secret for 26 years. I at least deserve to meet him once. Emma clicked accept on the digital invitation to be Sophia Bennett's maid of honor. The morning bell rang at Greenfield Elementary School in Portland. Emma put her personal thoughts aside and smiled as 22 first graders rushed into her classroom. Good morning, everyone. Let's start by sharing one happy thing about today, Emma said, sitting in her reading chair as the children gathered on the colorful carpet. Miss Parker, you look sad, said Lily, a girl with pigtails and a missing front tooth. Emma forced her smile wider. I'm not sad, just thinking about a trip I'm taking soon. Where are you going? Asked Tyler from the back of the group. Boston. It's a city far away on the other side of the country. Will you bring us back presents? Several voices called out. Emma laughed. We'll see. Now let's start our day with some reading. Hours later, Emma unlocked the door to her small apartment. Bills covered her kitchen table, student loan statements, her mother's hospital bills, and a past due notice for her electricity. She dropped her bag and sighed. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Can't wait to see you next week. The Ritz-Carlton sent your room confirmation. This wedding is going to be amazing. Sophia. Emma looked at the fancy hotel confirmation. It seemed impossible that just 6 months ago she had engineered a chance meeting with Sophia Bennett at a charity event, all to get closer to James Wilson, the billionaire tech genius who had no idea he was Emma's father. She walked to her bedroom and opened the drawer of her nightstand. Inside was a worn photograph of a young couple, her mother Catherine as a college student, smiling next to a handsome young man with the same hazel eyes Emma saw in her mirror every morning. The memories of her mother's last days flooded back. Catherine Parker, weak from cancer, had finally shared the truth. Your father's name is James Wilson, her mother had whispered from the hospital bed. We were in love at MIT. When I found out I was pregnant, he was already getting attention for his computer security ideas. I knew he was going to be something special. Why didn't you tell him about me? Emma had asked, holding her mother's frail hand. I thought I was protecting his future. He needed to change the world, not change diapers. Catherine's eyes had filled with tears. Maybe I was wrong, but I loved you enough for both of us. After her mother died, Emma took a DNA ancestry test. She spent months researching James Wilson, founder of Wilson Tech, a cybersecurity company worth billions. Everything confirmed what her mother had said: the timing, their relationship at MIT, and the DNA markers that matched relatives on her father's side. Finding Sophia had been surprisingly easy. The former model loved charity events and social media. One carefully planned accidental meeting later, and Emma had a new friend who was excited to share details about her engagement to a brilliant older man. Emma packed her suitcase carefully, placing her mother's diary and photos in a hidden compartment. Her phone rang, Rachel calling again. I still think this is crazy, Rachel said when Emma answered. What exactly is your plan here? Just walk up to one of the richest men in America and say, Hi, I'm your surprise daughter? I don't know yet, Emma admitted, folding a simple black dress into her suitcase. I just need to see him, to know who he is. Then I'll figure out if telling him is the right thing. Just be careful. Don't get hurt. The next morning, Rachel drove Emma to the Portland airport. Text me when you land. And Emma, remember who you are. You're not part of their world. 5 hours later, Emma stepped out of a taxi in front of the Ritz-Carlton, Boston. The doorman took her bag while another held the door. The marble lobby gleamed with fresh flowers and crystal chandeliers. Emma felt instantly underdressed in her simple jeans and sweater. "Emma, there you are!" Sophia's voice echoed across the lobby. At 32, Sophia Bennett was stunning, tall and blonde, wearing clothes that probably cost more than Emma's monthly salary. Sophia air-kissed both of Emma's cheeks. "You look exhausted, poor thing. Let's get you checked in before dinner with James." An hour later, Emma sat across from James Wilson for the first time. At 58, he was handsome, with salt-and-pepper hair and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He wore a simple navy suit and the same watch visible in old photos with her mother. "So, Emma, Sophia tells me you're a teacher," James said, his voice gentler than Emma had imagined. "Yes, first grade. I love it, though the pay is terrible," Emma said, then blushed at mentioning money to a billionaire. James smiled. "Teachers are the most important people in society. My mother was a nurse, but she always said she should have been a teacher." Emma's heart jumped at this small connection to the grandmother she never knew. "What do you like to read, Emma? You like to—" James asked as they waited for dessert. "Classic literature mostly. I just finished rereading To Kill a Mockingbird with my students." James's eyes lit up. "That's one of my favorites. Have you read much Steinbeck?" "East of Eden is my absolute favorite book," Emma replied. "Mine too." James looked genuinely delighted. "Sophia finds my book collection boring, don't you, dear?" Sophia glanced up from her phone. "Oh yes, all those old books collecting dust." She turned to Emma. "James has an entire library. Can you imagine anything more outdated?" Emma noticed how James's smile faded slightly at Sophia's words. Throughout dinner, she observed how Sophia barely listened when James spoke, how her attention remained on her phone, and how different they seemed from each other. Back in her hotel room that night, Emma called Rachel. "He's exactly how I imagined him," Emma whispered. "Kind, smart, thoughtful. But Rachel, something's not right about their relationship. She doesn't even seem to like him." "Maybe she likes his money," Rachel suggested. "Maybe." Emma stared out her window at the Boston skyline. "But there's something else going on. The way she acted when she thought no one was watching. It felt cold, calculated." From the hallway, Emma heard voices. Sophia arguing with someone on the phone. "I told you not to call me here," Sophia hissed. "Yes, everything is still on schedule, just stick to the plan." Emma moved away from her door, heart pounding. What plan was Sophia talking about? And why did Emma suddenly feel that finding her father might not be the only important discovery of this trip? Emma pressed her ear against the hotel room door until Sophia's footsteps faded down the hallway. Whatever plan Sophia was talking about, it didn't sound like wedding preparations. Emma pulled out her phone to text Rachel, but stopped herself. She needed more information before jumping to conclusions. The next morning, Emma joined Sophia at a flower shop in downtown Boston. The shop was filled with roses, lilies, and orchids in every color. "What do you think about these white roses for the centerpieces?" Sophia asked, barely looking up from her phone. "They're beautiful. Does James have a favorite flower we should include?" Emma asked. Sophia laughed. "James doesn't care about flowers. He told me to get whatever I want." She lowered her voice. "That's the benefit of marrying a man twice your age. They're just happy someone young and beautiful is paying attention to them." Emma felt her stomach tighten. "You two seem very different." "Opposites attract," Sophia said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Besides, James needs someone to pull him away from work. All he does is read boring books and attend charity events." Later that afternoon, Emma accompanied Sophia to a dress fitting at an expensive boutique. While Sophia tried on her wedding gown, her three friends from New York scrolled through their phones, looking bored. "I still can't believe you're marrying that old guy," one friend said. "James is brilliant," Sophia replied, "and extremely generous." "But don't you get bored? I stalked him online. He seems so serious." Sophia stepped off the pedestal to check her reflection. Marriage isn't about entertainment. It's about security. She turned to Emma. Can you take this bag to James's office? I ordered lunch for him, but I have a hair appointment. Emma nodded, grateful for the opportunity to see where James worked. Wilson Tech headquarters occupied a modern glass building in downtown Boston. The security guard called upstairs, and a man in his 40s with kind eyes and a friendly smile came to meet Emma. You must be Emma. I'm Robert Miller, James's executive assistant. He's in a meeting, but I can take the lunch to him. Thank you, Emma said, handing over the bag. Robert studied her for a moment. Would you like a tour while you're here? I rarely get to show off the place to someone new. Emma smiled. I'd love that. As they walked through the offices, Robert pointed out different departments. James started this company in his garage apartment 25 years ago. Now we have 3,000 employees worldwide. Did you know him back then? Emma asked. I joined 15 years ago. James gave me a chance when no one else would. I had just gotten out of the army and had no corporate experience. Robert stopped in front of a wall of photos. These are the scholarships James funds for employees' children. He's put 47 kids through college so far. Emma studied the photos of smiling graduates. That's incredible. If you think that's impressive, let me show you something else. Robert led her to another hallway with photographs of buildings. These are the homeless shelters and community centers James has built around Boston. He visits them monthly, though he never wants publicity about it. Why homeless shelters? Emma asked, wondering if it connected to her mother somehow. James never talks about it much, but he seems especially concerned about places that help single parents and children. Robert pointed to a photo of a building called New Beginnings Center. This one specifically helps single mothers get education and jobs. James checks on it personally. Emma felt her throat tighten. Was it possible James was unconsciously searching for the child he never knew existed? 2 nights later, Emma attended a pre-wedding dinner with James's closest friends. The restaurant was elegant, but not flashy, with warm lighting and quiet music. Emma noticed how different James's friends were from Sophia's. They were mostly older, accomplished people who spoke about books, politics, and charity work, not fashion or celebrities. James's sister Elizabeth sat across from Emma. She was in her early 60s, with the same kind eyes as James. Throughout dinner, Emma caught Elizabeth watching her with a puzzled expression. When James stepped away to take a phone call, Elizabeth leaned toward Emma. How long have you known Sophia? About 6 months, Emma replied. We met at a charity event in Portland. Interesting. You seem very different from her other friends. Emma smiled nervously. I suppose we are, but sometimes friendships form in unexpected ways. Elizabeth nodded. You remind me of someone, but I can't quite place it. Emma's heart raced. Could Elizabeth see her mother in her face? After dinner, Emma got lost looking for the restroom in James's mansion. She opened a door and found herself in a home office. Bookshelves lined the walls and family photos sat on the desk. Emma was about to leave when a photo caught her eye. A young woman with wavy brown hair laughing on a college campus. Her mother. Emma picked up the frame with shaking hands. James had kept a photo of her mother all these years. What are you doing in here? Emma jumped. Sophia stood in the doorway, her eyes cold. I was looking for the bathroom, Emma said, quickly putting down the photo. Sophia stepped into the room. This is James's private office. The bathroom is in the opposite direction. She glanced at the photo Emma had been holding. Who is that? I don't know. A college friend, maybe? Sophia's eyes narrowed. Let me make something clear, Emma. I've noticed how you look at James, how you try to find things in common with him. Whatever you're thinking, stop. You're here as my maid of honor, not to befriend my fiancé. I'm just being polite, Emma said, trying to keep her voice steady. Be polite from a distance. Sophia's voice was ice. Remember your place in all this. The next morning, Emma watched from a coffee shop across the street as Sophia walked into a small cafe. Through the window, Emma saw Sophia embrace a handsome man with dark hair. Not a quick hello hug, but an intimate embrace followed by a kiss that definitely wasn't friendly. Emma took out her phone and snapped several photos. When Sophia and the man sat down, they held hands across the table, looking very much like a couple in love. 2 hours later, Emma was helping Sophia address wedding invitations when Sophia went to take a shower, leaving her phone on the table. A text notification appeared on the screen. "Can't wait until this is over and we're enjoying his money together. 1 year of marriage is nothing compared to the payoff. Love you. Marcus." Emma quickly took a photo of the message with her own phone. Her hands were shaking. Sophia was planning to divorce James after a year and take his money. She was using him, just as Emma had suspected. That night, Emma called Rachel from her hotel room. "I have proof Sophia is cheating on James," Emma whispered. "She's planning to divorce him after a year and take his money." "Oh my God," Rachel said. "Are you going to tell him?" Emma looked at the photo of her mother she kept beside her bed. "I want to, but if I tell him about Sophia and then immediately reveal I'm his daughter, he might think I'm after his money too." "What are you going to do?" "I need more evidence," Emma said, "and I need to find the right way to tell him everything." As she ended the call, Emma realized her simple plan to meet her father had become much more complicated. Now she wasn't just searching for her own truth. She was trying to protect a good man from being hurt by someone he trusted. The morning sun streamed through Emma's hotel window as she reviewed the evidence on her phone. The pictures of Sophia with Marcus and the text message were damning, but Emma needed more proof before approaching James. She couldn't risk looking like she was trying to sabotage his relationship for her own benefit. At breakfast, James joined Emma while Sophia was still getting ready upstairs. "Good morning, Emma. I hope you slept well," James said, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "Very well, thank you," Emma lied, having tossed and turned all night. James set down his coffee cup. "I wanted to ask you something. There's a book signing today by Thomas Marshall. He's my favorite author. I have a business meeting I can't reschedule, and I was wondering if you might go and get a book signed for me. Sophia has no interest in these things." Emma smiled genuinely. "I'd love to. I've read all his books." "You have?" James looked delighted. "My favorite is The Winter Road." "Mine too. The scene where David finds his father's old letters." Emma stopped herself, realizing she was getting too excited. James finished her thought. "And realizes his father wasn't the man he thought he was." "Exactly. It's powerful writing." Sophia appeared, looking perfectly styled in a designer outfit. "What are you two talking about?" "Books," James said. "Emma's going to the Marshall signing for me today." Sophia rolled her eyes. "Thank goodness, I was worried I'd have to go." She kissed James on the cheek. "I have wedding tasks for Emma afterward." 2 hours later, Emma stood in line at the bookstore holding James's copy of Marshall's newest novel. The line moved slowly, giving her time to think about her growing connection with James. They shared so many interests. Was it genetics or coincidence? When she finally reached the front of the line, Emma placed the book on the table. "Could you please sign this to James Wilson? He couldn't be here today." As the author signed, a voice behind her said, "James Wilson? As in Sophia's fiancé?" Emma turned to see Marcus standing there. Her heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. "Yes, I'm Sophia's maid of honor." Marcus looked confused. "Oh, right. You're the teacher friend. Sophia mentioned you." He seemed to realize his mistake in approaching her. "I'm Marcus Reed, Sophia's cousin from Seattle." "Nice to meet you," Emma said, pretending she didn't know the truth. "Are you a book fan too?" "Not really. I was passing by and saw the crowd." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Don't tell Sophia you saw me. I'm supposed to be picking up her, wedding gift." Emma nodded. "Your secret is safe." As Marcus hurried away, Emma quickly took out her phone and found him on social media. His profile was set to private, but she sent a friend request. If he thought she was truly Sophia's friend, he might accept. Later that evening, James called Emma to his home office. "Did you have any trouble at the signing?" "None at all." Emma handed him the signed book. "I met someone interesting there, your fiancé's cousin Marcus from Seattle." James looked puzzled. "Sophia doesn't have a cousin named Marcus." Emma feigned surprise. "That's odd. He specifically mentioned Sophia." Before James could respond, Sophia entered the room. "Emma, there you are. I need your help with the seating chart." As Emma left with Sophia, she glanced back to see James opening his laptop with a thoughtful expression. The next morning, Emma received a notification. Marcus had accepted her friend request. His private posts included several subtle references to Sophia and their future plans. In one photo from just 3 weeks ago, they were on a beach together, Marcus's arm around Sophia's waist. The caption read, "Soon, every day can be like this." Counting down. Emma saved the photos as evidence. When her phone rang, she was surprised to see James's number. "Emma, I was wondering if you might help me with something," James said. "I'm launching a literacy program through my foundation, and since you're a teacher, I'd value your input." "I'd be happy to help," Emma replied. "Excellent. Robert will pick you up at 1 o'clock. Robert drove Emma to an elementary school in a lower-income area of Boston. James was waiting outside, talking with the principal. "This is one of 5 schools we're working with," James explained as they toured the building. "We want to create reading spaces and provide books for children to take home." Emma felt a surge of pride. This was the kind of work she wished she could do at her own school. "Have you considered parent involvement programs? Many parents want to help their children read but don't know how." James looked impressed. "That's an excellent idea." They spent 2 hours discussing the program. On the drive back to James's house, Emma noticed James seemed lost in thought. "Is everything okay?" she asked. James sighed. "You remind me of someone I knew long ago. In college, I was in love with a woman named Catherine. She was passionate about education, too." Emma's heart pounded. "What happened?" "She disappeared. One day we were planning our future. The next day she was gone. No explanation, no goodbye." James looked out the window. "I've always wondered what happened to her." Emma wanted desperately to tell him the truth, but before she could say anything, James's phone rang. It was Sophia. That night, Sophia assigned Emma a long list of wedding tasks. The florist needs final approval on the arrangements, the calligrapher has questions about the place cards, and the wedding planner needs to confirm the menu changes. "Menu changes?" Emma asked. "I thought everything was finalized." "James is allergic to shellfish, but I want the lobster appetizer," Sophia said dismissively. "Just make sure they have something else for him." Emma frowned. "You're serving food your fiancé is allergic to at your wedding?" Sophia looked irritated. "It's my wedding day. I should get what I want." She checked her watch. "I have to go. Just handle it." After Sophia left, Emma found Robert in the kitchen. "Does James know about the menu changes?" Robert shook his head. "Sophia makes a lot of decisions without consulting James. He's too busy to notice most of the time." "Can I ask you something? Does Sophia ever seem insincere to you?" Robert was quiet for a moment. "It's not my place to comment on Mr. Wilson's relationship." "I understand. But if you knew someone was taking advantage of him, wouldn't you want to protect him?" Robert's expression softened. "James has been alone for a long time. He wants to believe Sophia loves him." "What if she doesn't?" Emma asked quietly. Before Robert could answer, they heard footsteps. Elizabeth, James's sister, entered the kitchen. "I thought I heard voices," she said. "Emma, could I speak with you for a moment?" Elizabeth led Emma to the garden. "I've noticed you watching my brother very carefully. You also seem concerned about his relationship with Sophia. Why is that?" Emma hesitated. I just think James deserves someone who truly cares about him." "I agree," Elizabeth said. "But why do you care so much about a man you barely know?" Before Emma could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Sophia. "Where are you? I need you at the venue now." "I have to go," Emma said apologetically. At the wedding venue, Sophia was arguing with the event coordinator. When she saw Emma, she pulled her aside. "I don't want James's sister involved in any more planning. She keeps questioning my decisions." "Elizabeth seems to care a lot about her brother," Emma said carefully. Sophia's eyes narrowed. "You spent time with her today. What did she say about me?" "Nothing. We barely talked." "Keep it that way." Sophia's voice was cold. "And stay away from James too. I've noticed how much time you two are spending together." "We were working on his literacy program," Emma explained. "Find an excuse to stop. You're here for my wedding, not to make friends with my fiancé." That night, Emma returned to her hotel room and found something wrong. Her suitcase had been moved slightly and her mother's diary wasn't in the exact spot where she'd left it. Someone had been searching her room. Emma carefully checked her hiding places. The photos of her mother with James were still there, but they had been shifted. Her heart raced as she realized Sophia must suspect something. She needed to act quickly. The wedding was just 2 weeks away, and it was clear that Sophia was getting nervous about Emma's connection with James. If she wanted to protect her father from making a terrible mistake, she was running out of time. Emma moved her mother's diary and photos to a new hiding place inside the hotel room safe. Just as she finished, her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. "I know what you're doing in Boston, and Sophia Bennett isn't the only one with secrets that could ruin everything." Emma's hands shook as she read the message. Who could have sent this? She tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. After a sleepless night, she received another text from the same number. "Meet me at Blue Bottle Coffee on Newbury Street at 10 o'clock. Come alone." Emma debated whether to go, but her curiosity won out. She arrived at the coffee shop early and chose a table with a clear view of the door. At exactly 10 o'clock, Marcus walked in. Emma's stomach dropped as he spotted her and walked over. "You're probably wondering why I texted you," Marcus said, sitting down across from her. "How did you get my number?" Emma asked. "From Sophia's phone while she was in the shower." Marcus studied her face. "I know you've been watching us. The question is why." Emma decided to take a risk. "I know about your plan with Sophia to marry James and divorce him for his money." Marcus tensed. "Are you planning to tell him?" "That depends," Emma said carefully. "Maybe we can help each other." "What do you want?" "A share," Emma lied. "I have student loans and my mother's medical bills to pay." Marcus looked suspicious. "Why would we give you anything?" "Because I have evidence of your relationship with Sophia. Photos, text messages, enough to make sure she gets nothing in a divorce." Marcus considered this. "How much do you want?" 10% of whatever Sophia gets." Marcus laughed. "You think small? James is worth billions." 10% would change my life," Emma said, trying to sound convincing. Marcus took out his phone and showed Emma a document. "This is our plan. Sophia marries James next week. No prenup. She stays married for 1 year to establish herself in his life. Then she files for divorce, citing his workaholic behavior and emotional neglect. Massachusetts law favors her. We're thinking $500 million minimum." Emma fought to keep her expression neutral as Marcus continued explaining their scheme. She secretly recorded the conversation on her phone. "If you tell James about us," Marcus warned as they parted, "we'll make sure he knows you tried to blackmail us. Who do you think he'll believe? His fiancée or some teacher from Portland?" Later that afternoon, Emma received a call from James. "Emma, I'm hoping you can help me out tonight. It's Elizabeth's birthday dinner and Sophia has a sudden dress fitting she can't reschedule. Would you mind joining us?" Elizabeth specifically asked if you could come. "I'd be happy to," Emma replied, surprised by the invitation. Sophia called an hour later, her voice sharp. "James told me he invited you to Elizabeth's dinner. I need you to say you're sick." Why? Because it's a family dinner and you're not family, Sophia snapped. James said Elizabeth asked for me specifically. I don't care. Make an excuse. Emma took a deep breath. I'm sorry, but I already told James I'd go. It would be rude to cancel now. You're overstepping, Emma, Sophia warned before hanging up. The birthday dinner was at an elegant restaurant in Beacon Hill. Elizabeth greeted Emma warmly while James ordered wine for the table. I'm so glad you could join us, Elizabeth said. James tells me you've been helping with his literacy program. Emma has wonderful ideas, James said proudly. She suggested parent involvement workshops that the schools love. Throughout dinner, Emma noticed Elizabeth watching her closely. After dessert, James stepped away to take a phone call, and Elizabeth moved to sit beside Emma. Tell me about your mother, Elizabeth said suddenly. Emma nearly choked on her water. My mother? Yes. What was her name? Catherine Parker. Elizabeth's eyes widened slightly. And where did she grow up? Boston, originally. But she moved to Portland before I was born. Elizabeth pulled out her phone and showed Emma an old photograph. Is this her? Emma gasped. It was her mother in her college days, standing next to a young James on the MIT campus. Where did you get this? Emma whispered. James kept a box of photos from college. When I first met you, something seemed familiar about your face. Elizabeth leaned closer. You look exactly like Catherine, but you have our mother's smile. Who are you really, Emma? Before Emma could answer, James returned to the table. The moment passed, but Emma felt Elizabeth's eyes on her for the rest of the evening. The next morning, Sophia burst into Emma's hotel room without knocking. What do you think you're doing? She demanded. I don't know what you mean, Emma said, stepping back. You went to Elizabeth's birthday dinner after I told you not to. You're spending time with James talking about books and education. Sophia moved closer. Stay away from my fiancé. James invited me. It would have been rude to refuse. I don't care. Your job is to be my maid of honor, not to bond with James and his sister. Sophia's eyes narrowed. Unless that was your plan all along. What plan? Don't play innocent. I know women like you, looking for a rich man to solve your problems. Emma felt anger rise in her chest. You don't know anything about me. I know enough, Sophia said coldly. If you don't keep your distance, I'll make your life very difficult. After Sophia left, Emma received a text from Robert asking to meet urgently. They met in the hotel garden, where Robert looked around nervously before speaking. I need to warn you, he said quietly. Sophia has hired a private investigator to look into your background. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Why would she do that? She thinks you're getting too close to James. The PI has already started digging into your life in Portland. How do you know this? I overheard her on the phone. She's worried about something and you're the target. Robert hesitated. Emma, is there something Sophia might find? Something you're hiding? Emma made a split-second decision. Robert, I need to tell you something, but you have to promise to keep it secret. I promise. Emma pulled out her phone and showed Robert a photo of her mother with James in college. Catherine Parker was my mother. James is my father. Robert stared at the photo, then at Emma's face. That's why you look so familiar. You have his eyes. My mother never told him she was pregnant. She died last year, and her final wish was for me to find my father. Emma's voice broke. I didn't plan to get close to Sophia. I just wanted to meet James. And now you've discovered Sophia is using him, Robert said, understanding dawning on his face. Yes, she and Marcus are planning to divorce James after a year and take half his fortune. Emma showed Robert her evidence. I want to tell James everything, but I'm afraid he'll think I'm just another person after his money. Robert was quiet for a moment. I'll help you. James deserves to know the truth about Sophia and about you. Later that day, Emma returned to the wedding venue to check on decorations. As she approached Sophia's dressing room, she heard Sophia's voice through the partially open door. "Listen, the prenup is off the table. James trusts me completely," Sophia was saying. "My lawyer says with 1 year of marriage, I should get at least $400 million in the divorce." Emma quickly took out her phone and began recording. "No, Marcus can't call me again. It's too risky," Sophia continued. "Once we're married, we'll communicate through my new assistant. Yes, I already have the offshore accounts set up. Just imagine it. This time next year, we'll be living in Monaco with more money than we could spend in a lifetime." Emma heard footsteps approaching from the hallway. James was coming. She had seconds to decide. Confront Sophia now or wait for the right moment to reveal everything. The footsteps grew closer, and Emma's heart raced with the weight of her decision. Emma quickly stepped away from the door and pretended to be looking at a floral arrangement. James rounded the corner seconds later. "Emma, what a nice surprise," James said with a warm smile. "I'm just checking on some details for Sophia," Emma replied, her heart still racing. "You're always so thoughtful. Is Sophia in there?" James pointed to the dressing room. "Yes, but she's on an important call about the wedding." Emma moved slightly to block his path. "Actually, I wanted to ask your opinion on the centerpieces. The florist sent some samples this way." James followed Emma down the hallway, away from Sophia's conversation. Emma felt guilty for the deception but knew she needed more time to figure out her next move. 5 days before the wedding, Emma was reviewing her evidence against Sophia when a sharp knock came at her hotel door. Sophia burst in before Emma could answer, her face flushed with anger. She threw a folder onto the bed. "I know exactly who you are, Emma Parker," Sophia hissed. Emma's stomach dropped as she opened the folder. Inside was a detailed report from the private investigator, including her birth certificate listing Catherine Parker as her mother, photos of her Portland apartment, and even her mother's obituary from the previous year. "You're Catherine's daughter," Sophia said, pacing the room. "James's ex-girlfriend from college. What a coincidence that you'd become my friend and maid of honor." "I can explain," Emma started. "Save it," Sophia snapped. "You engineered our friendship to get close to James. What was your plan? Tell him he's your father and hope for a piece of his fortune?" "It's not like that." Sophia laughed coldly. "Of course it is. You're drowning in student loan debt and your mother's medical bills. I bet you thought Daddy Warbucks could solve all your problems." "I just wanted to meet him," Emma said quietly. "My mother never told him about me. How convenient." Sophia sat on the edge of the bed. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave Boston today. Go back to your sad little apartment and your underpaid teaching job. Never contact James or me again." "And if I don't?" Sophia smiled. "Then I'll tell James you befriended me to get close to him for his money. I'll show him how you researched him for months, how you planned everything. Who do you think he'll believe? His loving fiancée or the surprise daughter who appears right before his wedding?" Emma stayed silent as Sophia reached into her purse and pulled out a check. $100,000, Sophia said, placing it on the nightstand. "More than enough to pay off your debts and start fresh. Take it and disappear." After Sophia left, Emma called Robert. "She knows everything," Emma said, her voice shaking. "The PI found out about my mother." "What did Sophia say?" Robert asked. "She offered me money to leave Boston and never contact James. She threatened to tell him I engineered everything to get his money if I don't go." Robert was quiet for a moment. "You need to talk to Elizabeth. She already suspects you're Catherine's daughter. She might help." "Do you think I can trust her?" "Elizabeth loves her brother more than anything. If anyone will help protect him, it's her." Emma arranged to meet Elizabeth at a small cafe away from James's social circle. When Elizabeth arrived, her expression was serious, but not unkind. "Thank you for meeting me," Emma said as Elizabeth sat down. "Robert said it was important." Elizabeth studied Emma's face. "You look so much like her." Emma took a deep breath and placed 3 items on the table: her birth certificate, her mother's diary, and a paper showing the DNA test results. "Catherine Parker was my mother," Emma said, "and James Wilson is my father." Elizabeth picked up the birth certificate, her hands trembling slightly. "I always wondered if Catherine was pregnant when she disappeared. She stopped returning my calls so suddenly." "She never told him?" "Never. James searched for her for months." Elizabeth looked up from the papers. "Why didn't Catherine tell him about you?" "She thought she was protecting his future. She knew he was going to be successful and didn't want to hold him back with a family." Emma opened the diary to a marked page. She wrote about it here. Elizabeth read the entry, tears forming in her eyes. "Your mother loved him very much." "Yes, she did. And now you've discovered that his fiancée is using him." Elizabeth shook her head. "No wonder Sophia feels threatened by you. She offered me money to leave Boston." Elizabeth's eyes hardened. "How much?" $100,000. That's pocket change compared to what she hopes to get." Elizabeth reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "You have our mother's smile, did you know that? James's eyes, but our mother's smile." "So you believe me?" "I do, and we need to tell James before the wedding." When Emma returned to her hotel later that day, the front desk clerk stopped her. "Ms. Parker? I'm afraid there's been a change with your room. Ms. Bennett has checked you out." "What?" "Your belongings are here." The clerk pointed to Emma's suitcase and bags sitting in the lobby. "Ms. Bennett said your stay was concluded." Emma stood in shock, her phone already ringing with a call from Sophia. "Consider this your first warning," Sophia said when Emma answered. "Take the money and leave, or things will get much worse." "Where am I supposed to go?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice steady as people in the lobby glanced her way. "That's not my problem." After hanging up, Emma called Elizabeth, who immediately offered her guest room. "Stay with me. It's safer than another hotel where Sophia might find you." That evening, Emma attended the pre-wedding gala with Elizabeth. The ballroom of the Boston Harbor Hotel was filled with hundreds of guests. Emma stayed close to Elizabeth, avoiding Sophia's glares from across the room. During dinner, Sophia clinked her glass for attention. "James and I have a special announcement. We've decided to leave for our honeymoon immediately after the wedding. We'll be spending a full month away, starting with Bora Bora." The guests applauded while James looked surprised. Emma realized Sophia was accelerating her plans, trying to get James away before Emma could tell him the truth. Later, Emma finally found James alone on the terrace overlooking the harbor. "Beautiful night," James said as she approached. "Yes, it is." Emma gathered her courage. "James, there's something important I need to tell you. It's about my mother." "Your mother?" "Her name was Catherine Parker. She was from Boston originally." James's expression changed. "Catherine Parker? I knew a Catherine in college." "I know." Emma took out the old photograph of James and her mother. "This Catherine." James stared at the photo, his hand slightly shaking. "Where did you get this?" "She was my mother." Before Emma could say more, Sophia appeared with the wedding planner. "James, darling, we need you for some urgent decisions about tomorrow," Sophia said, taking his arm. She shot Emma a warning look. "Can it wait? Emma and I were talking about—" "It really can't wait. The vendor needs answers now." Sophia pulled James away. As Emma watched them leave, she knew she had crossed the point of no return. With the wedding just days away and Sophia working to keep her separated from James, there was only one option left. She would have to speak out during the ceremony itself. Back at Elizabeth's house, Emma sat in the guest room, organizing all her evidence against Sophia. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Sophia. "Change of plans. The wedding has been moved up to tomorrow afternoon. Invitation only." Emma stared at her phone in disbelief. She immediately called Elizabeth, who was downstairs in the kitchen. "Elizabeth, did you know about this? The wedding has been moved to tomorrow afternoon." Elizabeth rushed upstairs, her face showing shock. "That's impossible. The Ritz-Carlton was booked for Saturday. Sophia just texted me. She's trying to prevent me from telling James the truth. Elizabeth grabbed her own phone and made a quick call. After a brief conversation, she hung up with a grim expression. It's true. James called the hotel manager personally to request the date change. Sophia told him there was a scheduling issue with their honeymoon resort. Emma sat heavily on the bed. She's moving so fast. What do we do now? We fight back, Elizabeth said firmly. Get dressed. We need to meet Robert right away. 30 minutes later, they met Robert at a small coffee shop 2 blocks from Elizabeth's home. Robert looked tired but determined. I checked the guest list, he said, sliding a paper across the table. Marcus is listed as Sophia's cousin from Seattle, just as we suspected. Emma picked up the list. She's that bold to invite her real boyfriend to the wedding? Sophia's confident, Elizabeth said. She thinks no one knows about their plan. Robert sipped his coffee. I've been monitoring James's accounts. Sophia convinced him to transfer $2 million to a joint account yesterday for wedding expenses. Can we stop the transfer? Emma asked. It's already done, Robert replied. But that's actually small change compared to what she'll get in the divorce. Elizabeth took out a pen and notepad. We need a plan. The wedding is in less than 24 hours. Together, they outlined their strategy. Elizabeth would ensure Emma's evidence, the diary, photos, and recordings, was ready on the venue's multimedia system. Robert would prevent Sophia's security from removing Emma when she spoke up. There's one more thing, Elizabeth said, opening her purse. She pulled out a small silver locket. This was our mother's. Inside is a family photo of James, our parents and me when we were young. She handed it to Emma, who opened it carefully. The resemblance between Emma and James's mother was striking. Wear this tomorrow, Elizabeth said. If James has any doubt, this will help him see the truth. Emma put the locket around her neck, touched by the gesture. Thank you. Now, Robert said, checking his watch, Sophia has arranged for you to be kept busy with last-minute maid of honor duties today. She's instructed the vendors not to let you leave or use your phone. How do you know this? The florist is my cousin, Robert smiled. Not everyone loves Sophia. When you arrive, the vendors will pretend to follow her instructions, but they're on our side. Emma spent the morning with the florist, the caterer, and the decoration team. As Robert predicted, they kept her busy but allowed her to step away when needed. During a break, Emma noticed one of the catering staff watching her. Are you Emma? The young woman asked. Yes. I'm Lisa. Robert asked me to help you. She handed Emma a note. If you need to send any messages to Robert, let me know. By mid-afternoon, Sophia arrived to check on the preparations. She barely looked at Emma, speaking to her only when necessary. When Sophia stepped away to take a call, Emma quickly wrote a message for Robert. Sophia, checking everything. Need to get original evidence from Elizabeth's house. Lisa took the note and disappeared. 20 minutes later, the fire alarm sounded, and everyone evacuated the building. In the confusion, Emma slipped away and took a taxi to Elizabeth's house. She had just finished gathering her evidence when she heard the front door open. Thinking it was Elizabeth, Emma called out, "I got everything." But it was James who appeared in the doorway of the guest room. Emma? He looked confused. Elizabeth invited me for dinner. She said it was important. Emma froze, the evidence folders in her hands. She hadn't expected to face James alone, not yet. Is Elizabeth here? James asked, looking around. She'll be back soon, Emma said, trying to stay calm. She asked me to gather some things. James nodded, then noticed the photo of Catherine on the bed. You were telling me about your mother last night, about Catherine. Emma set down the folders. Yes, would you like some tea while we wait for Elizabeth? We could talk. In the kitchen, Emma made tea while James sat at the counter, looking at the old photograph. I searched for Catherine for months after she disappeared, James said quietly. I hired detectives, called hospitals. Then I heard she was in Oregon. but when I tried to contact her, she refused to see me." "She thought she was protecting your future," Emma said, setting a cup in front of him. "By leaving without a word? She knew you were destined for great things. She didn't want to hold you back." James looked up sharply. "How would you know what she thought?" Emma took a deep breath. This wasn't how she planned to tell him, but the moment felt right. Before she could speak, however, her phone rang. It was Elizabeth. "Where are you?" Elizabeth asked urgently. "At your house. James is here too. Sophia is looking for him. She's furious. Don't tell him anything yet. We need to stick to the plan." Emma hung up and found James watching her intently. "You know something about Catherine that you're not telling me," he said. "Elizabeth will be here soon," Emma replied. "She can explain everything." They moved to the living room where James noticed books on the coffee table that Emma had been reading, the same obscure authors he enjoyed. "You like Bernard Malamud?" he asked, picking up one of the novels. "He's one of my favorites," Emma replied. "I also love John Steinbeck and Joan Didion." "Exactly the same as me," James said with a smile. "What else do we have in common?" For the next hour, they talked about books, movies, and their shared love of astronomy. James told stories about growing up in Boston, and Emma shared what it was like to be raised by a single mother in Portland. "Catherine did a good job raising you," James said. "She was always so intelligent and kind." "She talked about you sometimes," Emma admitted. "She said you were the smartest person she ever met and the most decent." "Did she ever say why she left?" Emma hesitated. "She thought you needed to focus on your future without distractions." "I would have given up everything for her," James said quietly. "I loved her that much." The front door opened and Elizabeth entered, looking stressed. "James, I'm sorry I'm late." "It's fine. Emma and I have been getting to know each other better." Elizabeth shot Emma a questioning look, and Emma shook her head slightly. She hadn't revealed anything yet. After James left, promising to see them both at the wedding the next day, Elizabeth and Emma worked late into the night preparing the evidence. "I almost told him," Emma said as they organized the photos and diary entries. "It's better this way," Elizabeth assured her. "At the wedding, everyone will witness Sophia's true nature. James won't be able to deny the evidence." As they worked, Robert called with troubling news. Sophia has hired security guards with Emma's photo. They're instructed to keep her away from the ceremony. "How will I get in?" Emma asked. "I've created a staff ID badge that will get you through the service entrance," Robert explained. "The security guards at that door are friends of mine from the army. They'll let you in." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat at the desk in the guest room and recorded a video on her phone, explaining everything in case she was prevented from speaking at the wedding. "My name is Emma Parker," she began. "I'm the daughter of Catherine Parker and James Wilson. My mother never told James about me. I came to Boston to find my father, but discovered his fiancée is planning to divorce him and take his money." She detailed everything she had learned about Sophia and Marcus, showing the evidence on camera. When she finished, she saved the video to a flash drive and tucked it into her mother's locket. As dawn broke, Emma watched the sunrise from her window. In just a few hours, she would either reunite with the father she never knew or lose him forever to Sophia's elaborate scheme. The Boston skyline glowed orange and pink as Emma dressed in her maid of honor outfit. She placed her mother's locket carefully around her neck, touching it for strength. Elizabeth drove her to the Ritz-Carlton before dawn, parking in a service area behind the hotel. "Robert's waiting at the employee entrance," Elizabeth said. "Text me when you're inside." Emma nodded, clutching the staff ID badge Robert had created. "Will you be okay talking to James before the ceremony?" "I'll try one more time to make him see reason about Sophia," Elizabeth promised. "But be prepared. He might not listen." At the service entrance, Robert greeted Emma with a tired smile. Two security guards nodded to them. "These are my friends, Mike and Dave," Robert explained. "They're helping us today." "Won't they get in trouble?" Emma asked. Some things are more important than a job, Mike said. Robert told us what's happening. No one should be tricked like that. Robert led Emma through back hallways to a small storage room near the bridal suite. You can wait here until it's time for you to join Sophia. I've placed a small camera in the bridal suite that will send video to your phone. You'll know when to come out. Thank you for everything, Emma said. James is a good man, Robert replied simply. He deserves the truth. Alone in the storage room, Emma sent a text to Elizabeth. I'm in position. Elizabeth responded moments later. James arrived. He seems nervous but determined. Sophia's parents are with him now. For the next 2 hours, Emma watched through the camera app as the bridal suite remained empty. Finally, at 9 o'clock, Sophia arrived with her hairstylist, makeup artist, and 3 friends. The flowers in the ballroom are all wrong, Sophia complained loudly, and the champagne isn't properly chilled. This hotel is supposed to be 5-star. I'll handle it, her assistant promised, rushing out. The photographer better get my good side, Sophia continued, and make sure James's ancient friends don't dominate the photos. I want this to look youthful and fresh. One of Sophia's friends laughed. Are you sure you want to go through with this? He's so old. A year of marriage for $500 million? Sophia smirked. Easiest money I'll ever make. Emma's phone buzzed with a text from Elizabeth. Marcus has arrived. He's telling everyone he's Sophia's cousin from Seattle. At 11 o'clock, Robert texted, Time to emerge. Sophia is asking for you. Emma took a deep breath, checked her appearance in her phone camera, and left her hiding place. She knocked on the bridal suite door. Finally, Sophia said when Emma entered. My veil needs to be adjusted. As Emma helped with the veil, Sophia's friends left to take their seats in the ballroom. When they were alone, Sophia's pleasant expression vanished. I'm surprised you still showed up, she said coldly. I'm the maid of honor, Emma replied. It would look strange if I disappeared. After today, you'll disappear permanently from our lives. Sophia checked her makeup in the mirror. James and I leave immediately after the reception. By the time we return, you'll be a distant memory. Emma adjusted the veil pins. The ceremony hasn't happened yet. Sophia turned, her eyes narrowing. Don't try anything stupid. My security team has your photo. They'll remove you if you cause any problems. I'm just here to do my job, Emma said, activating the recording app on her phone hidden in her bouquet. Good, because James is mine now. Sophia's voice became smug. He's just a means to an end, you know. All that money sitting in his accounts and he hardly spends any of it. What a waste. You don't love him at all, do you? Emma asked quietly. Love? Sophia laughed. I love what he can give me. I deserve every penny I'll get in the divorce. Do you know how hard it is to pretend interest in his boring stories, to act impressed by his charity work, to kiss him goodnight? She shuddered. The things I do for money. Emma's phone silently recorded every word. A knock at the door interrupted them. Sophia's mother entered, elegant in a designer suit. You look beautiful, darling, she said, then noticed Emma. And you must be the maid of honor. Sophia mentioned you joined her bridal party rather suddenly. Emma and I became fast friends, Sophia said with a fake smile. She's been so helpful. How nice. Sophia's mother studied Emma's face. Have we met before? You look familiar. I don't think so, Emma replied. I'm from Portland. Sophia's mother seemed unconvinced but didn't press further. At 12:30, Emma changed into her maid of honor dress in a small side room. The pale blue silk felt cool against her skin as she fastened her mother's locket around her neck again. Her phone buzzed with a text from Robert. Meeting in the east hallway in 5 minutes. Bring everything. Emma grabbed her bag containing the diary, photos, and recordings, then slipped out to meet Robert and Elizabeth. Elizabeth looked elegant but tense in a navy dress. The ballroom is full, 400 people at least. I checked the honeymoon flights, Robert added. James and Sophia are booked to Bora Bora tonight, but only Sophia's ticket continues to Monaco 3 days later. She's planning to abandon him on their honeymoon? Emma was shocked. It appears so, Robert confirmed. Marcus has a matching ticket to Monaco. Elizabeth took Emma's hand. Are you ready? Once you speak up, there's no going back. I'm ready, Emma said. What about the evidence? I've loaded everything onto the venue's system, Elizabeth explained. When you give me the signal, I'll display the text messages and photos on the screens around the ballroom. And I've convinced 2 security guards to help us, Robert added. They'll prevent Sophia's team from removing you when you speak. Emma practiced what she would say one final time, her hands shaking with nerves. I'll wait for the minister to ask if anyone objects to the marriage. That's your moment, Elizabeth agreed. As they finished their planning, the wedding planner appeared, looking harried. There you are. We're seating guests now. Everyone needs to get in position. Emma followed her to the back of the ballroom. Through a small window in the door, she could see hundreds of guests in their finest clothes. Flowers and ribbons decorated every surface. At the front, James stood with the minister, looking handsome in his tuxedo. He seems so alone, Emma whispered. Elizabeth squeezed her hand. Not for much longer. The wedding planner rushed back. Bridesmaids, line up, please. Maid of honor at the end. We begin in 5 minutes. As the bridesmaids formed their line, Emma touched the locket containing her mother's photo and the flash drive with her video confession. In a few minutes, she would either reunite with her father or lose him forever. The first notes of music began to play as the ballroom doors opened. The ornate doors opened fully, and the string quartet played louder as the procession began. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle one by one, each taking small steps in time with the music. Emma watched from her position at the end of the line, her heart beating so fast she worried others might hear it. Through the doorway she could see James standing at the altar. He looked handsome in his black tuxedo, but his smile seemed practiced rather than joyful. Robert stood in position near the multimedia controls, giving Emma a subtle nod. On the left side of the room, Elizabeth sat in the front row, her hand resting on her purse where the backup evidence was stored. When Emma's turn came, she walked slowly down the aisle, feeling hundreds of eyes on her. She kept her gaze forward, focusing on James. Did he see any of his mother in her face? Any of himself? As she took her position beside the altar, the music changed. The guests stood as Sophia appeared in the doorway. Her white dress sparkled with thousands of crystals, and her veil floated behind her like a cloud. She looked stunning, and the crowd gasped appreciatively. Sophia's father, a stern-looking man in an expensive suit, took her arm to walk her down the aisle. James smiled at his bride, but Emma noticed his eyes didn't light up. He was going through the motions, a man who had convinced himself this was what he wanted. When Sophia reached the altar, her father placed her hand in James's, and they turned to face the minister. The ceremony began with traditional words about love and commitment. Emma's hands trembled as she held her bouquet, waiting for the moment. "Marriage is a sacred bond," the minister said, his voice carrying through the ballroom. "A promise between 2 people who love each other truly and deeply." Emma glanced at Sophia, who was smiling for the benefit of the photographers. The minister continued through the ceremony until he reached the crucial moment. "If anyone knows why this couple should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace." The ballroom fell silent. Emma felt everyone expecting the traditional pause before the ceremony continued. Many guests looked toward the back doors, the typical source of dramatic interruptions in movies and television. Instead, Emma took a deep breath and stepped forward from her position beside the bride. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I can't let this happen." A collective gasp filled the room. Sophia turned to her, eyes flashing with fury. "Get back in line," Sophia hissed through her smile. James looked confused but not angry. "Emma? What's wrong?" Emma faced James directly. "Mr. Wilson, James, I didn't come to Boston planning to stop your wedding. I came hoping to find my father." The whispers started immediately. Emma reached into her bouquet and pulled out the photograph of Catherine and James from their college days. "My mother was Catherine Parker," Emma continued, her voice growing stronger. "She never told you she was pregnant when she left Boston 27 years ago." The ballroom erupted in hushed conversations. James stared at the photograph, the color draining from his face. "Catherine," he whispered. Two security guards moved toward Emma, but Robert intercepted them, speaking quietly. They stepped back. Emma opened the locket around her neck. "This was your mother's locket. Elizabeth gave it to me." She held it out to James, who took it with trembling fingers. Inside was the Wilson family photo. James as a boy with his parents and Elizabeth. "Dad?" Emma said softly, the word feeling both strange and right on her lips. Complete silence fell over the ballroom. James looked from the locket to Emma's face, seeing the truth there. "Emma is telling the truth, James," Elizabeth said, standing from her seat. "Look at her. She has Catherine's eyes, and our mother's smile." James studied Emma's face as if seeing it for the first time. Before he could speak, Emma continued, "There's something else you need to know." She turned to Sophia. "Your fiancé is planning to divorce you after 1 year of marriage and take half your fortune." "That's ridiculous," Sophia snapped. "She's clearly delusional. This woman shows up claiming to be your daughter right before our wedding. It's obviously a ploy to get your money to get." Emma held up her phone. "I have recordings of Sophia discussing her plan, and her partner is here in this room." Heads turned, searching the crowd. Emma pointed to a man in the third row. Marcus Reed, Sophia's boyfriend, not her cousin from Seattle. Marcus stood up abruptly, his face pale. "This is absurd. Sophia and I are relatives." "Really?" Robert called out, stepping forward. "Then why do you have matching tickets to Monaco 3 days from now, while James's ticket only goes to Bora Bora?" Sophia lunged for Emma's phone. "Give me that! She's lying!" In the struggle, Robert pressed a button on his tablet. The large screens around the ballroom, meant for displaying wedding photos, suddenly showed text messages between Sophia and Marcus. "Just 1 more year with the old fool," one message from Sophia read. "Then half his money is ours." "Worth it for 500 million, Marcus had replied. "But I hate seeing you with him." The guests stared in shock as message after message appeared detailing their plan. Photos of Sophia and Marcus together from just weeks ago flashed on the screens. Sophia screamed in frustration. "Turn that off!" James stood perfectly still, his eyes moving between the screens, Emma and Sophia. "Is this true?" he asked Sophia quietly. "Of course not." Sophia grabbed his arm. "James, she's manipulating you. She researched you, planned this whole thing to get your money." "Then explain these," Robert said, displaying flight confirmations on the screen. "Your continuing ticket to Monaco, Marcus's matching flight, the offshore account you opened last month." Sophia's mother stood up. "Sophia, what have you done?" "Nothing!" Sophia was frantic now. "James, don't listen to them. I love you." James looked at her calmly. "When is my birthday, Sophia?" Sophia blinked. "What? My birthday? When is it?" April something. It's in October." James turned away from her and faced Emma. "Catherine never told me about you?" Emma shook her head. "She thought she was protecting your future. She didn't want to hold you back with a family." "I searched for her for months," James said, his voice breaking. "I would have wanted to know you, to raise you." "I know that now," Emma said. "She realized her mistake too late. She asked me to find you before she died last year." Elizabeth approached them, tears in her eyes. "The moment I saw Emma, I felt something familiar. She's a Parker on the outside, but there's so much Wilson in her face." While they spoke, Sophia tried to flee the ballroom with Marcus. Robert's security friends blocked the door. "The police are on their way," Robert announced. "We have evidence of attempted fraud and theft." Sophia whirled around. "You can't prove anything. It's her word against mine. Actually, Robert said, we have signed statements from your wedding planner who overheard your conversations and your assistant who you asked to set up the offshore accounts. Sophia's face crumpled as she realized she was trapped. Her mother approached her with a look of disgust. How could you? We raised you better than this. James seemed barely aware of the chaos surrounding Sophia. He was still looking at Emma, tears streaming down his face. You have her smile, he said softly. Catherine's smile. And your eyes, Elizabeth added. James, she's your daughter. There's no doubt. James reached out slowly and took Emma's hand. I have a daughter, he said, his voice filled with wonder. As security escorted a screaming Sophia and a silent Marcus from the ballroom, James turned to the stunned guests. I apologize for this unexpected turn of events, he said with remarkable composure. It seems today was not meant for a wedding after all, but for a different kind of reunion. He looked at Emma and smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. Would you join me somewhere quiet? I think we have 27 years to talk about. Emma followed James through the crowd of murmuring guests. Robert quickly led them to a private room off the main ballroom, a small library with comfortable chairs and walls lined with books. As the door closed behind them, the noise from the ballroom faded. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. James still held the photograph of himself and Catherine from their college days. I'm sorry about the public revelation, Emma said, breaking the silence. I tried to tell you privately several times, but Sophia kept interrupting. James sat down, his eyes never leaving Emma's face. You have her expressions, the way you tilt your head when you're nervous. It's exactly like Catherine. Emma sat across from him, her maid of honor dress pooling around her. I never planned to stop your wedding. I just wanted to meet you, to know who my father was. Why didn't she tell me? James asked, his voice breaking. I would have been there for both of you. Emma reached into her bag and pulled out her mother's diary. Mom wrote about her decision. She saw how brilliant you were, how your professors were already talking about your future. She thought having a baby would hold you back. James took the diary with trembling hands. She had no right to make that choice for me. She realized that too late, Emma said softly. In her final days, she regretted not telling you. That's why she asked me to find you. I searched for her, James said, looking up from the diary. Did she know that? Yes. She knew you tried to find her in Oregon. She was scared to face you after keeping such a big secret. James shook his head. All these years wasted. A knock at the door interrupted them. Elizabeth entered with Robert. Most of the guests are leaving, Elizabeth said. James, do you want to make any statement? James stood up, straightening his tie. I should thank them for coming. In the ballroom, only about 50 people remained, mostly James's closest friends and business associates. The elaborate wedding decorations now seemed out of place, like props from a play that had ended abruptly. James addressed the small crowd with remarkable composure. Thank you all for your understanding. Today has brought unexpected revelations, but also a blessing I never imagined. He looked at Emma. I've discovered I have a daughter. While this isn't the celebration we planned, I hope you'll give us privacy as we begin to know each other. People approached to offer awkward congratulations. Emma noticed some looked at her suspiciously, while others seemed genuinely happy for James. One elderly man squeezed Emma's hand. I was James's professor at MIT. I knew Catherine too. Brilliant woman. I see her in your face. As the last guests departed, Robert approached with a serious expression. Sophia's lawyer just called. They're threatening to go public with what they're calling your embarrassing family drama, unless you provide a generous settlement. James's expression hardened. After what she planned to do, she'll get nothing. We have all the evidence, Robert assured him. The recordings, the text messages, the travel arrangements, she has no case. The hotel manager appeared, looking uncomfortable. Mr. Wilson, what would you like us to do with the, reception arrangements, the food, the band? Donate the food to local shelters, James said without hesitation. Pay the band and other vendors in full. It's not their fault the event was canceled. Emma watched James handle everything with quiet dignity. This was her father, a man who thought of others even in his own moment of crisis. Later that evening, Emma, James, Elizabeth, and Robert sat in James's study at his Beacon Hill home. The wedding that wasn't had been dismantled, and now they faced practical matters. "I've contacted a lawyer about Sophia," Robert reported. "With our evidence, she'll be lucky to leave with her personal belongings." "What about your job in Portland?" Elizabeth asked Emma. "I need to call my principal," Emma replied. "I've already taken 2 weeks of leave, but I'll need more time." James looked up. "You're going back to Portland?" "Eventually," Emma said. "I'm still a teacher. My students are expecting me back." "Of course," James nodded, though he looked disappointed. "But you'll stay for a while?" "As long as I can," Emma promised. James hesitated. "I think we should arrange for DNA testing. Not that I have any doubt, but for legal purposes." "I agree," Emma said. "I brought my birth certificate and the results of my own DNA ancestry test, but an official test makes sense." As Robert made arrangements for the test, James asked Emma about her mother's life in Portland. "She became a librarian," Emma said. "She loved books. That's why I became a teacher. Our house was always full of stories." She took out her phone and showed James photos of Catherine in later years, of their small house with its garden, of Emma's graduation. "She looked happy," James said, studying the pictures. "She was, mostly. But there was always a sadness in her when she talked about Boston, about you." James rubbed his eyes. "I wish I could have told her I never stopped loving her." The following morning, Emma called her principal at Greenfield Elementary School. "Family emergency?" the principal repeated. "Emma, you've been gone for 2 weeks already." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I found my father, and I need time to get to know him." After a long pause, the principal sighed. "Take another 2 weeks, but then we need you back, or I'll have to find a permanent replacement." Emma hung up and joined James for breakfast on his terrace. The morning was clear and cool with views of the Boston skyline. "2 more weeks," she told him, "then I need to go back to my students." James nodded. "I understand. Teaching is your calling." "What about your work? Wilson Tech must need its CEO." James smiled. "One benefit of building a company for 25 years is having excellent people who can run things when you're away." They spent the day together, walking through Boston Common, visiting the public garden where James and Catherine had once studied together. James showed Emma the MIT campus, pointing out the buildings where he and Catherine had taken classes. "She was smarter than me," James said as they stood outside the engineering building. "Everyone thought I was the genius, but Catherine saw solutions I missed." A week later, the DNA results arrived, confirming what they already knew. James was Emma's father. That evening, they shared a quiet dinner with Elizabeth to celebrate. "To family found," Elizabeth said, raising her glass. As they ate, James broached a difficult subject. "Emma, I'd like to establish a trust for you, to pay off your mother's medical debts and your student loans." Emma tensed. "I didn't come looking for you for money." "I know that," James said gently. "But you're my daughter. Let me help you the way I would have if I'd been there all along. I don't want to be like Sophia, just interested in what you can give me." James reached across the table and took her hand. "You could never be like Sophia. You stopped my wedding to protect me, knowing I might reject you. That took incredible courage." The next morning, Robert arrived with news about Sophia. "She's back in New York," he reported. "Her lawyers dropped all threats after we sent them copies of the evidence. She's agreed to a simple statement that the wedding was called off by mutual agreement." "Good," James said firmly. "I want her out of our lives." Emma looked around James's study. at the books they both loved, at the family photos now including one of her and James from their walk in Boston Common. In just 2 weeks, she had found not only her father, but a part of herself she never knew was missing. "I have something for you," James said, handing her an envelope. Inside was the deed to her mother's house in Portland, now fully paid off, and papers showing all her mother's medical debts had been settled. "James, this is too much," Emma protested. "It's what I would have done years ago if I'd known," he said simply. "And please, try calling me Dad, at least sometimes." Emma smiled, the word still feeling new on her tongue. "Thank you, Dad." 6 months later, Emma stood in her classroom at Greenfield Elementary in Portland watching her students work on their art projects. The classroom looked completely different now, with new computers along one wall and bookshelves filled with colorful new books. A plaque by the door read, "Wilson Family Foundation Learning Center." "Miss Parker, is your dad coming to our play next week?" asked Lily, the same girl who had noticed Emma's sadness before her first trip to Boston. "Yes, he is," Emma smiled. "He's very excited to see all of you perform." After school, Emma checked her calendar. Tomorrow she would fly to Boston for her monthly long weekend with James and Elizabeth. In the 6 months since the wedding that wasn't, they had created a comfortable routine. Emma kept teaching in Portland, but flew to Boston at least once a month. James visited Portland regularly too, attending school events and getting to know Emma's community. Emma's phone rang as she was packing. It was James. "Just checking what time your flight lands tomorrow," he said. 3:30 in the afternoon. "Will you and Elizabeth be picking me up?" "We'll both be there," James promised. "I have something to show you when you arrive." The next day, Emma walked through the airport terminal to find James and Elizabeth waiting. James hugged her tightly. "I've missed you," he said simply. "It's only been 3 weeks," Emma laughed. But she had missed him too. At James's Beacon Hill home, he led Emma upstairs. "I have a surprise for you." He opened the door to what had once been a rarely used guest wing. Emma gasped. The space had been completely transformed. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with copies of books they both loved. A comfortable desk sat near the window with a view of the city. Family photos covered one wall, pictures of Catherine, of Emma growing up, and new photos of Emma with James and Elizabeth. "This is your space," James said, "so you always have a home here in Boston." Emma touched the books on the shelf, the same editions she had in Portland. "You remembered all my favorites." "Of course, we have the same taste." That evening over dinner, James shared news about the Wilson Family Foundation's work. "The grant to Greenfield Elementary has been approved," he said. "The board loved your proposal for the new library and technology lab." "The kids are already benefiting from the first phase," Emma said. "But are you sure it doesn't look like special treatment because I teach there?" "The grant goes to the school, not to you personally," Elizabeth pointed out, "and the foundation has funded similar projects at 4 other schools in Portland." "Besides," James added, "you're still living on your teacher's salary. That was your choice." It was true. Though James had established a trust for Emma that covered her mother's medical debts and her student loans, she had insisted on keeping her financial independence. She wanted her relationship with James to be about family, not money. The following week, James flew to Portland to attend the school play Emma had directed. He stayed in Catherine's old house, which Emma had inherited. Though James had paid off the mortgage, Emma still lived there, finding comfort in the space where she had grown up. After the play, James and Emma sat in Catherine's small garden. "The children were wonderful," James said. "You're an excellent teacher." "Thanks, Dad," Emma replied, the word now feeling natural. "Tomorrow I want to show you the community center where I volunteer. I think it could be a good model for some of Wilson Tech's educational programs." Over the past months, Emma had helped James modernize his company's educational outreach. Her classroom experience combined with his resources had created programs that were making real differences in schools across the country. "Have you looked at the stars recently?" James asked, looking up at the clear night sky. "Not since you showed me how to use the telescope on your roof deck," Emma admitted. James smiled. "I brought a portable one. Want to set it up?" They spent the next hour identifying constellations, another interest they had discovered they shared. James knew the scientific names while Emma knew the myths behind them. Together, they had the complete story of the night sky. The next morning, Elizabeth called while they were having breakfast. "Did Emma tell you her terrible egg joke yet?" Elizabeth asked when James answered. "No, what egg joke?" Emma groaned. "Please don't encourage her. She asked me yesterday why the egg went to school," Elizabeth continued, "because it wanted to get EGGUcated." James burst out laughing, the same full-body laugh Emma had when she found something truly funny. "That's not even the worst part," Elizabeth said. "James made the exact same joke last month at a board meeting. It's definitely genetic," James agreed, smiling at Emma. "Your terrible pun humor comes from my side of the family." On the one-year anniversary of their first meeting, James hosted a small dinner at his Boston home. He invited only his closest friends and family, Elizabeth, Robert, and a few others who had supported them through the past year. During dessert, James stood to make a toast. "1 year ago, my life changed forever. I was about to make a terrible mistake, but instead, I received the greatest gift possible." He looked at Emma with pride. "I found my daughter." The guests raised their glasses as James continued. "Today, I want to announce something important. Emma and I have established the Wilson Family Truth Project, an organization dedicated to reuniting separated families and supporting single parents through education and financial assistance. The project will help people who, like my mother, feel they have to make impossible choices," Emma added. "No one should have to choose between their dreams and their family." After the guests left, Emma and James sat in his study looking through old photographs. They added recent pictures to a new family album: Emma's first visit to Wilson Tech, James at the school play, Elizabeth's birthday celebration. "I have one more thing for you," Emma said, pulling an envelope from her bag. "I found this when I was going through Mom's things last week. She wrote it to you before she died but never sent it." James took the envelope, his hand trembling slightly. "She wrote to me? She wanted you to know why she left and how much she always loved you." James opened the letter carefully and began to read. Tears filled his eyes as he read Catherine's words explaining her decision, her regrets, and her enduring love for him. "She never stopped loving you," Emma said softly, "just as you never stopped loving her." James wiped his eyes. "Thank you for this, for everything." Emma smiled at her father. "I was thinking about a trip to Europe next summer. Mom always wanted to see Italy and France. Maybe we could go together." "I'd like that very much," James replied, carefully folding Catherine's letter. "A family trip." As they continued looking through photographs, Emma realized how much had changed in 1 year. She had come to Boston searching for her father but found so much more: a family, a purpose, and the truth that had healed both their hearts. James put his arm around her shoulders. "Catherine would be proud of you, Emma, and I couldn't be more proud to be your father." "Thank you for accepting me into your life," Emma said. "Thank you for having the courage to find me," James replied. "Some truths are worth fighting for." If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen.